Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Looking for these better days.
It is Friday, July 31st. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. An under day in Major League Baseball yesterday. The trade deadline is fast approaching. We had a move go down yesterday as well. And we continue our 32 in 32 team previews with the Houston Texans on this episode of Better Day presented by FanDuel. But let's start in Major League Baseball, where Thursday saw 10 games, all 10 going to the under. A $100 parlay on every under yesterday would have paid you almost $7,000 as every game goes under here on Thursday. Now, does that mean we're going to see unders here on Friday, or does it revert back and we see overs here on Friday? Yet to be determined. Amongst the unders were the Yankees losing in extra innings once again to the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox with a 2-1 walk-off win in the bottom of the 11th as the Yankees fall to now 1-8 in extra inning games this season, the worst record in extra inning games in Major League Baseball. Shohei Ohtani was not in the lineup last night for the Dodgers against the Mariners, just as a precaution as he's resting his sore left knee. Dodgers beat the Mariners 6-2, and the Dodgers did say that Ohtani would be back in the lineup tonight. We had a trade that went down yesterday with the deadline coming up on Monday. The New York Mets, who are expected to be big-time sellers here, traded away relief pitcher A.J. Minter to the Minnesota Twins, and part of the package that returns back to the Mets is infielder Brune Agbayani, the son of former Met Benny Agbayani. So Met fans, little chuckle at that one. But Minter's a guy who was literally a rental. You know, he pitched 23 innings in 23 appearances this season, a 2.35 ERA. His velocity and stuff are down from his time with the Braves because he missed most of last season dealing with an injury, but he can be serviceable for a contender, and the Twins trying to shore up their bullpen, and this is a good move for them and a good move for the New York Mets, who are expected to continue to be sellers here. Look for Clay Holmes and Freddie Peralta to be dealt in the next few days. On your schedule today in Major League Baseball, your Friday afternoon day game at Wrigley, the Cubs hosting the Yankees. Shota Imanaga on the bump for the Cubs. Will Warren goes for the Yankees. Chicago minus 157 up on FanDuel. Tonight, the Pirates are at the Reds. Paul Skeens back on the bump for the Pirates. They're minus 131 favorites at Cincinnati. Hunter Green counters for the Reds. Phillies are at the Orioles. No announced starting pitcher just yet for the Phillies. Cardinals take on the Blue Jays in Toronto with Dylan Cease on the bump. Toronto minus 175 favorites. Guardians minus 136 at home against the Diamondbacks. White Sox visit the Rays, and Tampa Bay minus 149. Marlins at the Mets. Freddie Peralta likely making his final start for the New York Mets prior to the deadline. Mets are minus 131 favorites. Nationals are at the Braves. Atlanta minus 126. Rangers at the Astros. Houston a minus 126 favorite with Hunter Brown on the mound for them. Nathan Eovaldi counters for Texas. Royals are at the Rockies, where it's a minus 110 split both ways. Brewers minus 171 at the Angels. Tigers minus 163 at the A's. Giants are at the Padres with no announced pitcher yet for San Diego. Red Sox at the Dodgers. Ranger Suarez scheduled to go for Boston. And as I mentioned, Shohei Ohtani back in the lineup, or at least scheduled to be back in the lineup tonight for LA. And the Mariners are minus 193 favorites at home against the Minnesota Twins. NFL news: wide receiver Chris Olave signed a 4-year contract extension with the New Orleans Saints up to $132 million, $90 million guaranteed. It's the biggest contract the Saints have given to a wide receiver since Michael Thomas back in 2019. New Orleans with lofty expectations this year, second year under Tyler Shuck, looking to make a big jump and possibly win the NFC South. Speaking of the NFC South, an open and honest Baker Mayfield yesterday telling the media that he felt disrespected that he and the Bucs did not reach an agreement on a new contract before the imposed deadline that he set for himself before the start of training camp. And he said all contract discussions will stop until after the 2026 season. Look, I don't know what more the Bucs want. Baker Mayfield's been good for this team, right? Back-to-back division titles. Last year, team, decimated by injuries, and, Mike Evans gone now, so maybe the team looking to just move in a different direction. But Mayfield's 31 years old. He proven that he could play and be a starting quarterback in this league, and he's just looking for a team to commit to him longer than, a short-term deal, which it seems like that's all he's been getting, right? Short-term, make it or break it, prove it deals. So Baker just feels undervalued, and I totally understand that. One final nugget, the 49ers are bringing back Deebo Samuel on a one-year deal. There's been some concern over the health status of wide receiver Ricky Pearsall as he recovers from an injured right knee. Also, Christian Kirk missed some training camp because of strained calf. So the 49ers reuniting with Deebo Samuel on this one-year deal. I'm sure 49ers fans are excited. I'm sure Brock Purdy is excited. Okay, now let's continue our 32 and 32 team previews with today's team, the Houston Texans.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
You can't predict the future, but you can prepare for it. Arizona State University is building degrees for what's ahead, taught by world-class faculty who are shaping our future. Explore over 350 programs offered online at asuonline.asu.edu.
32 teams in 32 shows continues with the AFC South, where we pay attention today to the AFC South favorites, the Houston Texans. Up on FanDuel right now, the Texans plus 110 favorites to win the division. Their win total is 9.5 games, minus 120 to the over. They're 20-1 to win the Super Bowl, minus 158 favorites to make the playoffs. This is a team that is pretty stacked and is the class of this AFC South division. With all due respect to the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence and the great season they had last year, the Indianapolis Colts will have a healthy Daniel Jones this year. The Tennessee Titans expected to take a jump up with Robert Saleh leading the way and Cam Ward with another season and the young talent that they have. But the Texans are the class of this division. They have the best defense in the entire NFL. And last year's playoff run could have looked a lot differently if C.J. Stroud didn't have the 4-interception game in the divisional round. And that's the thing. The Texans have never made it past the second round of the playoffs, never played in an AFC championship game. This is the 25th anniversary of the franchise's inaugural season, and it is the most important year for quarterback C.J. Stroud. The Texans picked up his 5th-year option on the rookie contract, so they can evaluate him for this year and through next year. You know he's going to want a new contract, but he's got to play his way into a new contract. And regular season accolades are great. You can win, Rookie of the Year and put up all those incredible numbers that you did a couple of years ago, but you throw 4 interceptions in a playoff game, you don't come through when the team needs you in the biggest moments. How is that going to make a team want to commit to you long-term and make you one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL? No, you get paid for winning when it matters the most. Elsewhere on offense, the Texans got good news. Tank Dell has been cleared to practice. So you have Tank Dell and Nico Collins on the outside. They were worried about, obviously, Joe Mixon's health, and he's going to be done. So they bring in David Montgomery. They pay him $16 million on a 2-year extension. So gives them a surefire, physical, downhill running back. So that probably improves like the play action game and the short yardage situations. This could be a very good season for the Houston Texans. By Vegas win totals, the Texans with the 11th most difficult schedule in the NFL this season. By our trench report, though, the 18th most difficult schedule in the NFL. Houston starts the season with a banger at home against the Buffalo Bills. They do play the Jacksonville Jaguars in London, and that's the second of the London games for the Jags, so they'll have a week to already be there and be, assimilated to everything. And Houston elected not to have the bye week after London. They return home to take on the New York Giants, and then will have their bye week. Look, obviously, there's a lot to like about the Houston Texans, right? The defense is incredible. We mentioned it, the number one defense in the NFL. Arguably got better with Reed Blankenship in the secondary this year to go along with the rest of the Pro Bowlers that they have there. They paid a lot of money to their young talent like Will Anderson and others. But the season's going to go where C.J. Stroud's going to take them. That's the bottom line. Stroud said that he lost weight coming into this season, still has to figure out the way that this offense is going to work. I said it before, David Montgomery is going to give them a big boost to their running attack. They'll be more physical. They'll be more in between the tackle runs. Houston is capable of putting up a lot of points in the past, but I think this year they're going to be a lot more balanced, a lot more running. And maybe that has us thinking about like some C.J. Stroud unders, Nico Collins unders possibly, because I think that they do want to establish the run first this year, which is why you add a David Montgomery, which is why you bring in multiple tight ends like Foster Moreau and Klein, because you're probably going to run more multiple tight end sets. You're going to be more physical. And with the defense playing as good as they played last year, if the Texans can be more controlled on offense, if C.J. Stroud doesn't turn the football over, there's no reason why this team doesn't go over their 9.5 win total and doesn't win the AFC South. And you know something? The Trench Report agrees. Earlier this week, we published our preseason Trench Report rankings, as well as the preseason Trench Report strength of schedule. Now, this is just going off of our preseason projections, right? And the numbers will change once we get 2026 data, right? Once we get numbers from week number 1, the Trench Report will change each and every week, right? But based on the Trench Report strength of schedule and the returning production and added production from last season, looking at player grades and other metrics, we like the Houston Texans over 9.5 wins. In fact, they are projected to lose the trench battle only one time this season, and that's against Philadelphia in Week 16. But as we detailed in today's article, which is available for Better Day Insider and Premium members, the plays, the betting card that we have based on the Trench Report, the Houston's pass protection does project in the bottom 10, which is, that's, again, in our preseason rankings. So if C.J. Stroud does take a lot of hits early on in the season and they aren't able to protect him, it could obviously change things. But if they rely more on the ground game with David Montgomery and they use the best defensive front in football, right? Arguably one of the best defensive fronts in football and just overall one of the best defense in football, we like the Texans over 9.5 wins. And yeah, I have them to win the division, obviously, as well. That was my selection for the AFC South. For the full article up on betterday.com and available on the Better Day mobile app. It is only available, though, for Better Day Insider and Premium members. To learn how you could become a Better Day Insider or Premium member, just check us out at betterday.com, or if you haven't done so already, download the Better Day mobile app. If you are an Android user, reply to the newsletter, and I will get you a link to join the test group for the Google Play version of the Better Day mobile app. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Better_Day on Twitter. Subscribe to the Better Day YouTube page as well. Today, Colby Marchio and Jake Hassan will be streaming their Off the Board podcast, talking Major League Baseball trade deadline. And then we are less than 2 weeks away from our first football show on the live stream football show on August 13th. Next week, we will get into football. We will preview the Hall of Fame game and have some guests getting ready for the NFL preseason and betting the NFL preseason. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.